see, well, Bill, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I guess we'll have Dawn read the minutes. Bury that.
November 6, 2015, the regular monthly meeting of the Franklin Town Board was called to order at 7:35 by Supervisor Jeff Taggart. Present were Garrett Sitz, David Grant, Lisa Hike, Highway Superintendent Mark Lang, Paul Warner, and Supervisor Jeff Taggart. Also present were Jamie Archibald, Mel Ogden, Pete Nero, Roger Reed, Tim Robinson, Bill Dagenhart, Stuart Anderson, Bill Young, Brian Brock, Jessica Reed, Cheryl Peterson, Don Hubbard, Donald Smith, Dwight Bruno, and Pete Bevilacqua. After a brief public hearing on the proposed budget, Lisa Hike made a motion to adopt the budget as presented. Garrett Sitz seconded the motion, and all present agreed. There were no changes to the proposed budget. The numbers were in for the Franklin Fire District, which is a 7% increase over last year's fire district budget. The total increase for this year is 0.88%. The minutes were read from the October 6th meeting. The minutes were corrected to read 2006 Chevy one-ton pickup truck with auto car parts. Lisa Hike made the motion to accept the minutes with the changes. David Grant seconded the motion, and all present agreed. Lisa Hike gave the report for the Kellogg Franklin Trust. The board received the updated policy and standard operating procedure manual for the athletic fields and education community center. There was nothing to report from the rec committee. Mark Lang will get the trucks and parts listed on the internet. The town was able to keep the excavator until the week of November 9th. We had a couple of free weeks added onto the rental time. The town had received its gravel mining permit. Mark met with Alan from Williams on November 5th. Mark thinks that we should know which roads will be used soon. Constitution will use the right-of-ways as much as possible. There will be a road inspection training session with Delta Engineering on November 19th, 2015 at 8:30 a.m. Jeff Taggart, Garrett Sitz, and Mark Lang met with the attorney in October about the road use agreement. Stuart Anderson from Otsego thanked the Franklin Highway Department for slowing down when they get to the 30-mile-an-hour zone in Otsego. Jeff Taggart said that Mark Lang has done an excellent job with shared services with other towns. With no further business to come before the board, Garrett Sitz made a motion to adjourn the meeting. David Grant seconded the motion, and all present agreed. Meeting adjourned at 8:15.
Any additions or corrections?
I think fire district, I believe it was 0.7%.
0.7?
Yeah, it wasn't 7.
Okay.
Anything else? Have a motion to approve the minutes? As
motion.
as corrected. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Lisa, have you got a report from the fund?
We're on hiatus until April,
Oh, okay.
so I don't have any report. I mean, the money's earning interest as we go along, but I don't have updated figures, same as last month.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Garrett's not here. Jamie, are you speaking for Mark, or?
No, I thought he was coming, so he didn't tell me any different.
Yeah, I thought he was coming too.
He might be in Franklin.
I could say
No, you know it's in trouble.
His truck, the truck was still there when I came through, and I was surprised. Okay. Let's see, the planning board met before last month, and we're after this month, so I have nothing to report. Is there anything else to be brought up? Jamie, do you know whether the auto car parts and truck got?
I don't know.
You know.
He hasn't told me either way, so.
Now is the excavator just waiting to
Just
be
waiting
taken
to be
back?
picked up, so.
Okay. Okay. My gosh, this is crazy. Okay, I guess.
You did meet with Delta.
Yes, we did have a training session with Delta on the 19th. It was It was interesting. We had the code enforcement officer there, Paul, Jamie, Mark, myself, Dave, and Donnie and Dwight, Donnie Smith and Dwight Bruno. Came, and we were all educated on it, you know, or tuned into what they were looking for and what they're gonna have. I thought it was very, you know, informational. Mark Jacobs, the code enforcement officer, he was very pleased to have been invited. Somebody's gonna, you know, be involved with it, there's no doubt about it. But the training session went well. And, I don't think you have any comments?
No, it was
Paul or
pretty
Jamie?
straightforward.
Donnie? You know, if I covered it, fine. If not, fill in. And that's, I guess that's the only thing we've done since then. Now, is there anything else from the board that wants to be brought up? Oh, yes, there is. The roundabout. They've been calling me. I did call back finally. Mike and Beth Howland, which is who was most affected by the roundabout. What it was initially planned, they didn't like it because the bypass was too, you know, basically where the lane is now, coming down the mountain. And they've done some changes in the plans to move it out a little bit further from the house. So they're, you know, they just soon have just a straight roundabout as to have a bypass, because as everybody knows, if there's a bypass, why go through the roundabout? That's just a fact. So that, you know, so we've got to decide as a board, do we want to vote in favor of it? Do we want to oppose it? Do we want to take no stand on it? They would like to get a decision. I told them we're meeting tonight, and I would let them know later on this week what we decided.
This is the state that's wanting this.
Yes, yes, the state they would like to have the town's approval, you know, just so, I'm not sure, you know, that the town, you know, I'm divided on this, whether, you know, if we give approval and what if there's still accidents, are we responsible? You know, if we deny it,
You're definitely responsible.
we would be
then.
responsible then. Yes.
I would recommend not denying it, because that leaves the town wide open. The insurance companies are gonna go to the state, why haven't you fixed this? And they'll say, they said,
Franklin said no.
and it'll be lawsuit.
What is the problem with the current arrangement?
Speed, too many accidents. It's one of the top 10% dangerous intersections in the state, is what they say. You know, there's been 3 deaths, I think it was 3, is that what they quoted us? But one was up by Osterhoutz, where the motorcycle went under the hay wagon. One was the David Allen out 28, you know, wasn't at the intersection, it was, you know,
Is this from people not stopping? Is this...
basically. And the worst part is when you're coming from 357 to 28 going towards the mountain, you know, you're crossing the line of traffic in the driver's side. Right. And it basically is, and I think it's insurance company driven. Because, you know, they say like every 1 in 3, I think they said, was $40,000 cost, you know, for health and, you know, for medical stuff, and the other ones were fender benders. But it is all speed related. I mean, this roundabout is set at 20 miles an hour, I believe. You know, if they were doing 20 miles an hour down the bottom of that mountain, you wouldn't have a lot of accidents either. So it's more, you know, is there signage is going to do, you know, they're going to do better signage and stuff too, but they really think the roundabout is a savior. And it's federal money that is, that's the only thing it can be used for is intersections, dangerous intersections. It cannot be used for bridges, it cannot be used for anything else but this. And that's what's being proposed, that's why it's, you know, they're really much nicer about it now than the initial engineers were. They were really quite pushy. Now they're really asking. Yes,
Jeff, if this is approved, when would it be
it
done?
might happen next year. I would hope it happen in the spring, so it'd be done by the fall. I would hate to see it start in the fall and have a mess all winter. I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know. They were originally, I think they were talking in 16. But whether we put it off or they put it off or whatever, you know, to get the satisfaction out of the people. And I think Paul's got a very good point. You know, you really can't vote against it. But, you know, Howlands, I know back in June, May, April, we said, you know, if Howlands were all right with it, you know, the town would go along with what because they're the ones most affected. They've got farm equipment they cross the roadway and stuff with. And I guess the state is willing to, you know, work with them some and help improve their access and stuff. So they're pretty much, you know, with a bypass further away from the house now, give it more sight distance, so, you know, they can cross the road safer and be safer for the vehicles too. But, you know, we've got to decide whether we, you know, I guess our choice is, you know, yes, or, you know,
Or no,
no, undecided. You know, I don't know, this is,
How does Mike feel about it?
Mike seems to be all right with it now. You know, you know, he didn't like the bypass, the way it was set up, because it was right, you know, you're coming right down the, lane from 28, so you're not changing a thing. The speed factor's still there. So now I think they moved more towards the roundabout, so there's more sight distance. You know, they're out further away from the house, so that when they're pulling out of the driveway, they can, you know, they're more visible. And they were talking, the state was talking about, he's got 2 accesses there at his house and barn. One is on the house side of it, you know, towards the house, and the other one is towards the barn. And I think they would like to have him mainly use the one towards the barn because it's further away from the corner. So that's, you know, if they could slow people down, you wouldn't need to spend $1 million or $1 million plus. You know, and it's the downhill grade is a problem. You know, trucks. I mean, cars go through too fast. But trucks, you know, it's rough on their brakes coming down that mountain to, you know, get down to 20 miles an hour. There's gonna be a bunch of
in the
them.
winter,
Pardon?
particularly in the winter, or if
Winter.
they lose their brakes.
Right. And that, I mean,
I don't like roundabouts generically.
right,
I think they're an obstacle course.
yeah. But they, you know, they say it's,
the intersection could be improved from what it is, but in other ways.
right, right.
Only the state doesn't want to accept that idea, apparently.
Well,
The
they,
federal doesn't want to.
well, you know, there for a while, you know, I think roundabouts, you know, because they're roundabouts or whatever you want to call it, I guess that's what you want to call them, roundabouts, you know, the speed is reduced. And on a flat playing field, the speed can be easily reduced, you know. But my issue is coming down that mountain,
It's
it's,
not flat.
you know, gravity.
The one plus of a roundabout is there's a big difference in the winter between getting down to 20 miles an hour to get through a roundabout and stopping. And that was their other option, was making a T,
Right, a stop
which would be
sign.
I think that would be worse than,
Right. Yeah, that was the other option they had, is come down to a stop at the bottom. So that would be even tougher on the trucks, probably. So that's what the board, you know, that's what's being thrown out there. What's your thoughts on it? Discussion time.
I've talked to truck drivers about it, and none of them like them. They say they're no good to get a truck around. They're a pain.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. The thing is too small. It's deliberately made too small to be an obstacle, but that means the big vehicle has trouble getting around it.
Well, that's where the apron in the middle is going to be tapered, so that, you know, the trailer is gonna go up on the center apron is what I'm
Completely.
understanding. Pretty much.
Completely.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Or
Both
they're gonna make
sets
it
of
oversized.
tires will be up on it,
Oh, really?
for the most part.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, Yeah.
They have to have.
If
a
the money's not
roundabout.
spent here, it'll
I
go
think
somewhere
They should
else.
have a bypass with it.
pardon?
I think they should have a bypass if they're gonna insist on having a roundabout.
Well, that's what is being presented, is with a
Yeah.
bypass. But the bypass is,
Kind
you
of
know,
defeats the purpose.
and nobody coming from Oneonta to Franklin is gonna go through the roundabout,
Of course.
unless you want practice. I mean, realistically, I mean, the bypass is not gonna change the traffic coming down the mountain going to Franklin. But it's supposedly it's gonna improve the sight distance, which
Yeah.
is an improvement, that is an improvement.
To me, the most dangerous part of the intersection is when you're coming from Delhi.
Getting
Yeah.
on
And
357.
you wanna try to go to Franklin,
Yes.
and you've got that corner, that blind
And
corner.
there's nothing that says.
Now, the roundabout will solve
Well,
some of that.
Right,
Yeah.
At least it'll get you around there so you can see,
right,
and
and reduce the speed factors and
Yeah.
stuff, hopefully, yeah,
Yeah, the visibility is a big part of the problem.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, even Franklin to Oneonta, when you'll have to go around it, it's gonna improve that a lot, because you come up to that T, and sometimes it is hard with the pillar, the car, or anything else to see
Yeah.
what's out there.
Yeah.
Right, you don't know, and you don't know whether the signal, the guy's gonna, is that signal actually been on from Oneonta, or is he, you know, he is gonna turn.
You don't trust the signal.
No, you can't, no. So what's the feeling of the board, or do we do a motion, or what do we do here?
I say undecided.
Okay, is there any other thoughts?
I think for the sake of the town and so on, we better move ahead with it, because we don't need a liability thing later on.
Now, by moving ahead, you mean vote for it, Don, or go as undecided? I mean, that's,
Well, being undecided, it's gonna mean that the board has not taken any action on it, and therefore it's the board's fault if there's an accident there.
okay.
And
Bypass and roundabout.
Pardon?
Bypass and roundabout, cover all bases.
Mhm.
so I guess I would move to go ahead with it. I mean, the town sure don't need the liability down the road somewhere.
Well,
you could also
The
put a
motion-
stipulation in that the construction should be done in the summer to be completed before
completed
snow
before
flies, or,
winter.
I mean,
That'd be a
not
good-
that they have to
it'd be-
follow it,
it'd be a
but you
good
could
addition.
always,
Our concern is not to have construction start in October and, you know, have the mountain be a mess all winter. So, did you make a motion, Dave? Yeah,
No.
I mean,
I'm
it-
just
you-
voicing my opinion.
Okay, so, now, has there been a motion made, which way? Lisa, you haven't voiced your opinion right yet.
I don't like it, but I don't want the town to be hung out to dry either. You know, I think there's some farmers that live right there that it's gonna have a big impact on, not just Howlands. And Garrett and Dave both have equipment like crazy that they're gonna have to go in a whole big circle to get to where they wanna go, that's just right there, and they're gonna have to go all the way around to get there.
Yeah. Won't be bad coming from Franklin going to Delhi. But coming
It
from
isn't
Delhi, it isn't now, but coming from Delhi back, you have to go 3/4 or 2/3 away around the roundabout to get out.
And then make a hard,
And make a
or
hard
would
turn.
you just go straight? How's it laid out?
What do you mean?
Coming off 28, I mean, if
You'll have a circle to come in here and you'll have to go where 28 goes mountain, you go on by and down here. What?
Sketch in front.
Oh,
There's the roundabout.
you come in and go to
Upside down,
Omaha.
huh?
Yeah,
Wasn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
well,
Okay, so this is coming down on the
that's
other.
Franklin, no.
So coming up that, coming up that.
I don't know. So they're eliminating this here.
Well, no, this one here will be
That'll
coming.
go into the
into the
roundabout, so you
roundabout.
can go to
Come around.
Oneonta.
Oh,
Yeah,
so we'll come down and,
you come 28 and then you come in
oh,
in
go
here.
over here and
and
then
here,
wrap around.
Yeah.
and come out.
And then it comes down here and going this way
Well,
or
yeah.
around this
Right,
way.
and go through the roundabout, I have to come into here and around, get out, or the bypass. See, this is
Going to Oneonta from Delhi, you just cut your edge of it and go
really, you
here.
go into it, then right back out of it. Yep.
Basically the same as it is, just got the roundabout in the middle.
Basically. Yep,
That's why it's only gonna cost $1 million to do.
It's a cheap one.
yeah. That was 2 years ago, they said a million, so I don't know what it is today. So, do we have a motion then? For what?
What's the best thing for the town?
Well, the best thing for the town is to approve the roundabout. Would be the best thing.
I made the motion to go ahead for the sake of the town.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second
With
it.
with Paul's addition of construction being done
In the summer.
in spring to fall. You know, spring, summer, and fall, not in the wintertime.
And with a bypass?
With the bypass, yes. That's what they're proposing, is with the bypass. Has there been a second?
Yep, I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
David did.
second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Well, this is to you. Spoke to you about it before. I guess you have to do, we got that done. And I'll call DOT and whether they want a letter from you.
Okay. Yeah, let me know.
Yep. I'll
And
let
it'll
you
be
know.
with
I talked to Jane yesterday. It's all taken care of.
I'll take care of, good. Yep, yep,
the construction not during winter.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me know.
Right, hopefully it'll be done before winter. Whether
Right.
it starts in 16 or 17, whichever year, have a completion date
Okay.
before the weather changes. Yep. Okay, I guess we're gonna open it up to.
We audited
Oh, yes, yes.
judge's books.
Lisa and I audited the court's books last night, matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
and everything looked good to me. So there should be a motion to that effect, or a resolution to that effect.
That says we found them all in good order.
Do we have a
You put your
second?
own words in there.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, now we'll go to the open meeting. Questions? Answers? Quiet, again, this is wrong, guys. I don't know what's wrong here. Oh, you know. Yes, Dan, Dan.
I'll start with a question
Yep.
in terms of, now that, the NED has actually been officially filed with FERC, and now that there's a 50,000 horsepower compressor up there, and now that there's a odorizing building plan for up there, as well as, several 100-plus feet by 100-plus feet buildings, is the town at all concerned now about construction up on the hill there? And maybe the extra traffic that's going to get to those buildings, and will build those buildings, let's service those buildings afterwards, and maintain those buildings, and provide stuff to those buildings? I think there's going to be a lot more traffic up there. So I'm just asking your opinion.
Well, I haven't, now, I would talk to Ty Bill. He's a PR guy, which he's the low man on a totem pole. And he said that it's the same presentation they had before, which, that's not what I had heard before. Brian called me on a Sunday, was it Brian? A couple Sundays ago. And I was the understanding it was I misunderstood you, I guess, because I thought you said it was a 20,000 horsepower compressor, not an additional 20,000.
Right, well, they made a small mistake in their files, and they left out the list, one of the compressor stations from their list of components.
Okay.
But elsewhere in the application, they say yes, 2 compressors up there.
Oh,
A
30,
30,000
20.
and a 20,000.
Uh-huh. Okay, okay. I see by the map that you supplied us, can't really tell much on it, just that it's a big complex.
Yeah,
23 acres?
25 acres.
23, 24 acres. Yeah, yeah. And you know, I haven't got any information from Tennessee, Kinder Morgan, Northeast Energy Direct. I asked, let's see, when did I talk to Ty? A week ago Monday, I think it was. Because he called me about the open house. Said, would you rather have it in Franklin or in Oneonta? And I said, we want it in Franklin. There's no option there as far as I'm concerned. And he said, that's what I thought, but I had to ask. So it's still being looked at in Franklin, what I understand. No date has been given. Now, I'm sure it won't be in December because of the holidays. I'm hoping it'll be in January. You know, but I haven't heard any. I know I talked to the school. They were talking about at one time, possibly November. You know, and you know, just here and went and by, but you know, it has been still being looked at, and now they've through FERC and stuff, they've said they're going to have an open house, and it's still wanted for Franklin is where they want it to be held. And on the construction and stuff, we're going to get more information done. Okay. Yes, Pete?
Well, that's what they did in Pennsylvania. They just keep on adding every year onto the compressor site. Right down the road where you went, by Rebecca Road, you go by the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And we have pictures of every year adding more to it.
Right, right.
Once they get in, they don't stop. It's like a never-ending progress.
Well, I would hope, that if the pipelines are limited, or there's only so many compressors you can put on one pipeline, I would think. I don't know. I know in one spot. I mean, they've got them, 30, 40, 50 miles apart, but they don't have 2 compressors on the same line running at the same time, I don't believe.
Well, they're running up to 80,000 horsepower on the distribution line going for Boston. There's 80,000, there's several 80,000 horsepower ones. So they could make it bigger. Obviously, they could add more compressors.
Is that on, I know that they were talking one time in Northfield, when we talked to, when we went out to Wellsboro, Northfield, Mass was out there. And they said they were projecting a 80,000 horsepower compressor station. But I don't know what, one line was going to New Hampshire, I think, and one to Vermont. And where they would require that, and I don't know how many pipelines were coming into Northfield either, whether it was just one, and how many were going out of it, I don't know that either. But they had said 30,000 or 80,000 horsepower there.
But there's 2 pipelines coming through there, and probably Constitution's going to want one sometime within 124 miles.
Well, I'm just wondering if this has got 2 compressors, if they're actually looking
lease
that
one
around.
out.
It shouldn't matter how many they build or how many pipelines. When we met with Delta, that was all discussed, that everything is based on what they do. So basically the town is covered any damage they do to our roads. That part of it is being planned for. That should be.
Right. Yeah, it's got, initially it's being planned for Constitution, but it's still in the...
After it's built, I mean, we're talking Delta is for development projects. Right now, there's a certain amount of trucks and stuff that go over that hill. If you have all that infrastructure up there, there will be more trucks on the hill. It's going to do more wear and tear. That has nothing to do with Delta at that point because it's not development. That's now operation. It'd be like building a Walmart superstore up there and all the cars. So that's what I'm going to call it. It's not going to cut down the people.
But it's going to be nothing like a Walmart. I mean, as far as truck traffic, it'll be pickups.
What supplies are they gonna need?
they're gonna be bringing in enough deodorizing stuff, methyl mercaptan, to do 1% of the volume of the pipeline. And you've got 1.2 million cubic feet going through every day. So 1% of that is a lot of million cubic feet. Even if it's coming in compressed, it's coming in. And they're gonna deliver it. And they're not gonna do the pickups. That's just.
Why are they gonna put it in there?
That's what doesn't.
Why would they
make
build a building up there 100 by 150 feet? Because I don't understand it either, Bob. It's a
Well,
long
wouldn't you have it at the beginning of the pipeline,
Well,
not
that's
in
when
the middle?
I thought New York State
No.
required
I think they do it
that
at the
scent
end.
be put in at the
Wherever
border.
it goes to.
Why would they be building a building up there, Paul, if they're not planning to put it in? That's all I'm asking. It looks to me like they're gonna deliver up there and put it in.
Well, the
I would-
building that they're proposing to build is in the town of Otsego. It's not in the town of Franklin, according to this map.
Deodorizing building.
No.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
No,
The
that-
compressor station is the only thing that's in Delaware County.
Yeah.
Everything else that's proposed
in
is
Otsego
in
County.
Otsego County.
I beg your pardon.
I don't
The only
think
thing
so,
in Otsego that isn't
According to
Otsego
staff,
is that little corner where the road comes out and heads into the tower. That line comes right straight through there, town.
I think it does.
No, according to the map, the only part of the complex
The
that's in
county line
Otsego.
goes right through the middle of it.
Is the district office.
Yes, but if you look at the site plan for the compressor complex, the only building that is in Otsego is the office building. Everything else
District office.
is the district office.
The district, but the compressor station is all on Franklin.
Yes.
The district,
But the other buildings go over the line.
No, the only building that is over the line is the office building.
According to this map, Donnie, if you want to come up and take a look at the one the only thing in Otsego is the district office.
Because I knew the new
Everything else
proposal
is
that was
in-
put in the Daily Star, all of that actually is in Otsego County.
Okay.
Well,
But that's mainly for basically a landing zone for if the pipeline design is to be constructed.
Right.
And that's what that extras added site that they're looking to lease is for.
Right. But that, I mean, I think, according to that map that I got from Brian, it does look like the only one in Otsego is the district office building.
And the map's part of their filing to
And
the
that's,
federal
I mean,
government. So
and that's, you know,
presumably, that's what they're planning to
that's
do.
what, that's presumably, you're right. So it is, you know, and I've, unless what I've always heard before is that the scent, the odor that they put into the natural gas is put in at the border, is what I've always, you know, in Pennsylvania, because New York State requires it.
Right, and apparently.
So
this
how
is-
can it be put in this far into the state? That's the baffling
Well,
part.
this is the first facility along the pipeline in New York State, so I guess that's where they put it in. I mean, there's no other facility they're putting in between here and the Pennsylvania border.
Right, and I agree, but there's no facility between here and Pennsylvania border for Constitution. So that odor must be put in Pennsylvania, is what I'm going by.
Or up in Rice.
Or up in Rice, when they rebuild Rice. See, we don't know where they're gonna do, they haven't announced.
Well, yeah, because there are feed lines off of Constitution proposed with Sydney,
Here,
and that may be why it's gotta be odorized in Pennsylvania.
Well, when Leatherstocking made their presentation here
Yep,
on the possibility of tapping into Constitution up on Franklin Mountain, they said they were gonna have to put a small odorizing station in there. A meter and odorizing station.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yes. So, it seems like for the Constitution, it also isn't odorized after it leaves Pennsylvania.
Well,
I got
that's
the
something I'll
impression
look
that it
into.
was only odorized when it got near the one of the
Well, if it's being distributed in Sydney, that's before Franklin, so you would think. And then, okay, if there's no odor, then you never know if there's a leak.
I think that was all part of the thing for Amphenol, is there was going to be a small, where they tap off, they would only odorize that tap off coming to Amphenol. That's the way I understood it.
Well, I understand Sydney, that's Jamie.
When we talked with Delta, didn't they say that this is just pertaining to Constitution? They were gonna fix anything up to 2 years after the project was completed. That's what was negotiated with Constitution. So now if Tennessee comes in, just the pipeline, we'll renegotiate through Delta, maybe not for 2 years, maybe longer, whatever. If the compressor station comes in, be a totally different contract, be negotiated.
Right, if there's an odorizer coming in or whatever, that's something.
That could all be part of it, so. that's
But
what
see, the
that-
problem with this, I mean, the whole thing, I mean, you're talking, like Donnie, you said that, 1%. You're adding 1% for the odorizer or whatever.
That's what it says, 0.5 to 1% depending
Okay.
on the market.
On that volume of gas, if it's liquefied, you're gonna be seeing a truck a day, possibly more. And now we've already got feed trucks and milk trucks going over this road. So to pinpoint that company, because you're bringing one truck a day in, is gonna be really tough. Because you will be picking out one contractor, one business, where, if they're bringing in 50 load at one time, you can segregate that from it. But if, there's log trucks, there's milk trucks, there's feed trucks.
There's a lot of Coke trucks that come over that road.
Yeah, right, I mean, they're
So together.
but, to single out one, I mean, it's great, we gotta find out what the volume they figure, or what they're gonna do there and stuff, I agree with that, there's
Just
concern.
keep it in mind.
Just keep it in mind, yes. But
Well,
to,
like Mark talked about, even with working with Delta, that he's concerned about even pickup truck traffic. And,
Right.
for during construction, you're gonna have a lot more pickups, and I know
Right.
they work with Delta on that.
yep, and Delta says you can't control. And that's the unfortunate, because their weight limit, I think the limit is 26,001 pounds, is that where they start picking up
Yeah.
trucks, I think?
But they
So, I
also,
mean-
they also said that they're gonna bus most of the people in during construction, that there's not
Right.
gonna be, because they have no place to park all the vehicles, and they end up in a different place at the end of the day. So a lot of that traffic will, a lot
But
of
there will
those
be
people
a lot more
busted.
traffic, there's no doubt, whether it be not as much as we might think, but it will be an increase, there's no doubt about it. And, it's still on our minds what's going on. And, and this odorizer, it's something to find out, and maybe, if they say they're gonna have 3-4 truckloads a day, it's got, I mean, that's an amazing number of trucks, I agree, but to hopefully, and I hate to say this too, hopefully they'll come in from Otsego and won't be on our roads.
But does that mean Leather Stocking's got a tap there? Is that why they're,
No,
they need to put the
odorize all
the whole
1.2
pipeline?
billion
Just like they do
cubic
pig
meters.
launching and stuff, they just
Right,
went
pig
through the
launches
system.
are there.
There's a pig launcher there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So watch your pigs.
Yeah. I'll go to BJ's. So, okay, anybody else? Another question? Concern? Anything else? Yes, Brian?
The other pipeline, Constitution, there's always a possibility that they might just get their approval on it these days. So if they do before they actually start construction, is the town going to make some attempt to inform townspeople about what to expect?
On what do you mean expect?
When Franklin becomes a construction site?
Right.
As far as
Mean,
traffic.
have an idea
roads.
when the construction is supposed to start?
Yeah, and what the traffic will be like on the roads and
Well, the
this
traffic,
sort of thing.
that's, the traffic on the roads, what we've been told so far, and you've probably been told the same thing. The main traffic on the roads will be the smaller vehicles and the trucks that bring in the pipe. Whether it be 4 pipes to load, 6 pipes to load, depending on the concrete or whatever liner on it. And those at this time, they're supposed to go back out the way they come in. And that's why the road that's gonna get hammered the most is, there's like, what, half a mile on Otsego Road is what they're talking is all. Now,
Because they will come up from Otsego side?
that's what they're talking.
I thought.
That's what the numbers they gave us for. That's where they came up with the 8 miles of road.
Yeah.
But they're, I think it's gonna be delivered up on Otego Road and then taking down the right of ways.
Have they done a practice in that?
That corner?
That corner with the 40
Mm,
foot
no,
truck?
no.
I'm just asking, I think it'd be
And
kind
that-
of interesting to
I
watch.
would, yeah.
Well, I do too, and that's what our concern was. I said, anybody in their right mind would think it would be better to come up from
But you
Franklin
still
up.
have that sharp curve above me. There might
And,
be
but
back
that's
and
what
forth.
they don't wanna touch, because between DEC, I know Mark's brought this up a lot, the DEC and stuff, that is a protected waterway or something where, to change that, to ruin that sluice pipe, would be a very costly factor for the Constitution. And that is something that's, I think, making them initially wanting to go out the way they came in. I mean, I wouldn't want to come up Otego Mountain either. It better be a nice dry day.
Right, it needs to be dry, but the length is not an issue. I mean, there's 53-foot trailers that go up there all the time. The length is not an issue.
That's
But
how
it
many
is-
of them on the
If you
mountain
meet
at
somebody
once.
coming down the hill, then it's an issue. I mean,
You'd have to
but,
do traffic control or something.
right. I mean, they brought the bridge rails up for the new bridge that way. And they tore up, the day we paved that, helped Otego pave that, and they tore it up. But they towed them up with a grader through the fresh blacktop. But and those bridge rails were a lot longer than 40 feet.
Right,
So, I mean, the length is not an issue.
yeah. But you're right. I mean, they're gonna have to figure out a traffic pattern, because you won't want too many of those trucks on the hill at the same time, whether empty or full. I mean, you better
That'll probably be determined when they put it out to bid for the contractors.
Right.
And they have to give us a list of roads and.
Yep, and that's what, that's what's presented right now is coming up Otego Mountain, and that's why Mark said earlier this year, Otego redid the road to the bottom of Otego Mountain. They didn't do the rest of it, because if that trucks and trailers are coming up, why put new road in there this year? It'll just eat it up. So that was, so it's all, it's not just Franklin affected by it, because I'm sure if they tear that road up, they should be paying Otego some for that too. There's no doubt. So, we like to be kept informed, there's no doubt, and it's good. We got to talk, and we got to visit, we got to, converse. There's no doubt about it. Okay, we got anybody else to bring up? Anything else?
We're gonna have a report
Concerns?
on the roads department.
Must be nothing's. Jamie, you don't have any? I mean, things have been going well. You got
We're just getting ready for.
the new truck, the new box they got on. It's all ready to go. I understand.
Waiting on the new pickup.
Still waiting.
On the assembly line. So-
Oh, it is. Oh, so much for November, huh?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it didn't stop.
Yes.
Didn't think to ask, but you mentioned it. Road use agreement, any progress on that?
I didn't call Cheryl yesterday or today. I didn't. She hasn't called me, but I was gonna call her, and I didn't.
But it hasn't gone the other way also? That's
Not
still-
that I know
the
of,
Original
no.
agreements, or your second agreement's still holding?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, we've, got the initial one with, the engineer, I can't think of his name. It wasn't Brian, it was Alan. Alan
Alan.
Brighton Brock or something like that. Yeah, and that's, Mark said, and he had, as he said, he had the meeting November 5th. I think he said, right? With him, and, he reported last month about
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
There's concerns on, they've got to sit down and decide what roads are gonna run. Right, and they've presented the 8 miles they're gonna use, but, they're gonna talk to contractors and stuff too, if they're gonna hold to the contract out the same way you came in, then there's, the roads that are gonna be used are minimal. But the contractors, as you said, if I had to come up Otego Mountain, I'd love to go down Franklin side. Of course, weight-wise, you wouldn't have, it's a truck and a beam trailer, right? It wouldn't even be so the weight factor would be reduced tremendously. But you still gotta cover that usage. And that has been spoke of and has been thought of, and they're still, it's still in the thought stage.
It's just that, like Brian said, the hammer could drop any time. They keep talking about maybe before the end of December, they'll
Right.
push the governor or somebody, and decisions will be made, and DEC will be, releasing that water quality permit.
Right,
I'd rather
right,
not see that, of course, but,
right,
we're now on December 1st.
right, yep,
So if they release that, you can be pretty sure that the ink better start flying, because they're gonna wanna start going whenever they can start on stuff.
right, right. Well, they'll start on doing timber harvest, I believe, is what they've gotta do now. But, so, yeah, as soon as we find out, we'll let you have an idea of what's going on. Okay, is there any other concerns from the board or from the?
I keep asking, but for instance, I know you were trying to do some survey of the roads and maybe do some cores and do ultrasonic block and stuff. Has that been progressing? Has Delta been working with getting some of that done before?
I think
the
Delta
tree
has
cutting
been
starts?
working on that with Mark some. I don't know, I don't know if they've done any corings. But I know Delta's been out, I think with Mark some, hasn't he, Paul, or
I don't think they do any of the coring until they get a list of the
the actual roads are done, right?
So really, there's not much they can.
Kind of a grid line.
Yeah, right, until
the
you,
town roads,
that's true.
Okay.
and they did a preliminary report.
I know Mark was hoping they would look at a lot of those roads before the weather turned totally to crap.
Yeah, they did, so.
Good.
Mark told them the roads he thought they would use, so they did look at most of those, but I don't believe any core samples or anything like that will be done.
So they,
I think they videoed them all and stuff.
Any more concern? It's unfortunate Mark's not here, but I guess, pretty much what's, you've been with Delta and, okay. Any more questions?
I move we adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn. We have a
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Thank you very much, and have a happy holiday. Safe and happy holiday.
Next meeting.